4 o'clock, call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mark Dennis.
Here.
Nate Tormellan.
Here.
Bonnie Good. Here. Tim Harden.
Here.
John J. Reinhardt.
Here.
John Kelly.
Here. Got a quorum. Thank you, Bonnie. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at the minutes of the last meeting? So would entertain a motion to approve.
I move.
Tim?
Second.
And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearing. Who's got the adoption for the declaratory resolution? Oh, you know what? I'm looking at last month's. Hang on. Nothing's changed up till now. All right. Yeah, take a month off, look what happens. Any public hearings? Doesn't seem to be any old business. We got Colin Smith here with the hangar project update.
Good to see everybody again. So I'm Colin Smith. I'm the airport manager out there at Freeman Municipal. So I handed each of you guys a 4-page packet. I won't read everything on it or else we'll be here for about 2 hours.
Thank
So
you.
I do encourage you guys to go ahead and take it home with you. But basically the first thing I wanted to note was the airport statistics. So our current number of airport operations in 23 were just under 10,000. In 24, they were just under 11,000. And with 2 months to go in 25, we are just under 12,500 operations. So we are increasing dramatically. And then the Aviation Indiana Annual Conference. So we were actually informed by the representatives that we are one of 2 airports in the entire state of Indiana that are fully self-sufficient. And the only other airport in the state of Indiana that is self-sufficient is Indianapolis International. So basically, we are only one of 2 out of 400 plus private use facilities and public use facilities for airports in the state of Indiana. For jet operations, for 2024, we had 107. And still with 2 months to go for 25, we have 151. So currently on that road, as of today, we have a 41% increase of jet operations. Then fuel sales, the based aircraft, we had a 53% increase from a year prior in sales. And then we now have over 80 based aircraft at the airport. And then the airport prospect, so we are still in search of regional status. We created that 5-year goal when I got appointed to become a regional airport for this area, and so we are still on track for that, obtaining that within the next 2 years. And then for the second page I gave you, it's the Q3 report. This is mainly just to read on your own to update you based on what we're doing out there at the airport. And then the third page that I have you, so the backstory points from document 1, which is your 4th page, the backstory points based on the yearly 22 to 25. So the report of funding from the RDC Grant 1 was $423,970 approved in 22. The planning for the hangar project completed, which was an estimated of over $2 million. So we were $775,000 BIL expected funding, $250,000 airport spent, and then $423,970 grant from the RDC. So the airport was approved a $420,000 bridge loan in 25 from the RDC, but the bids were over budget, so the airport completed extra work to save that money. And based on splitting out the phases, we saved over $400,000. So the airport chose to cancel $420,000 bridge loan based on work done by airport to save project cost. So then the RDC approved $180,000 grant number 2 in 25. So this covered $80,000 in loss of BIL funding and then $100,000 over budget for the actual project after the cost savings of $400,000. And so the current update that I wanted to give you was the hangar project specifics. So in All-Star, the phase 1, so the groundbreaking has been completed. The full cut of the property has been completed as well. The soil stabilization, so we ran into a little hiccup based on the contents of the ground. So it was a lot of organic soil, so it was sand, very, very wet. So we actually spent an extra $150,000 for soil stabilization. And then we finished the foundation for the soil for further work. The soil foundation has just now been completed. And so Dunlap for phase 2, the building materials are to be shipped. The foundation is to be started this week, giving allowable weather, of course, and then the leveling and structure should be started shortly after. And then on the back of that page are the current funding records. So I wanted to give you guys a table specific based on your understanding of the actual project, all the amounts that entail with it, and everything that you might need to know or have questions over. And then based on the claim, so the airport claim is to acquire grant number 2. So we are not here to acquire grant number 1. So the grant number 2 is the $180,000 for the current project costs that are within the parameters. So we have documentation of the project starts as well as the progress statement amounts for the billing of work. And so the amount of grant 1, which was the $423,970 grant, is not currently needed based on the time frame of this project. Just wanted to include that that amount is not necessary at this time because that amount has not been spent and we are waiting until the structure is finalized. So based on the project timeline, we wanted to give you this information and complete that claim. Do you have any questions for me currently?
How does the cost for the soil stabilization affect your overall budget on this project? Where is that funding coming from?
So that funding actually got assumed into the airport capital. So that extra cost of the overall budget actually got included into the cost that the airport will spend.
I'd just like to say that it seems like you're doing a very good job and a lot of work in the improvements and the increase in the usage of the airport. So I think that's good for our community.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations on being one of 2 that's self-sustaining.
Yes.
Thank you.
Does a
you.
lot.
It's definitely a team operation out there. No single person can accept those compliments, but I will make sure to pass on them. So.
Thank you.
Especially going up against Indianapolis International. I mean,
It takes
Seymour.
It's a little bit hard, but
All right. Thank you for the report. Doesn't look like there's any other questions.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Quality of life grants. Bonnie?
Do we want to move that to miscellaneous business so that we can discuss the claims and everything first, or do you have a preference?
We can certainly do that, yeah.
Okay. So do you want me to make a motion to that effect?
No, we'll
Okay.
push it down there.
Okay.
Okay. All right, new business. Brandon?
So
Oh, Brandon's not.
Mr. Harp shares his apologies. He had an unexpected matter that he needed to attend to, so he sent me in his place, and I'm on the agenda anyway, so you're kind of stuck with the B team.
All right.
So good evening. Thank you for allowing us to be on your agenda tonight. I'm Talmadge Reesner. I'm an assistant superintendent for Seymour Community Schools. I have with us Matt Thompson, our CFO, Steve Bush, the high school principal, and Kirk Manns, the athletic director. We appreciate the opportunity to speak with you tonight about a project that is both important to our schools and to the broader community. Our high school tennis courts, currently the only lighted courts in town available for public use, have deteriorated to the point that significant repairs are now necessary. Our goal is to work in partnership with the Redevelopment Commission to create a facility that serves both our students and the community, which is a shared space that we can all take pride in. We had shared a presentation with you. Do you have that? If not, I have copies.
Yeah.
I have it.
You do? Okay, very good. So in your packet, you're going to find several images to kind of help visualize the scope of the project that I'm going to share. On page 3, there's a Google Earth view of our high school campus. You'll notice the gymnasium and the auxiliary gym are located near the yellow pin. And just to the west of that, you'll see the tennis courts. There are 4 tennis courts that we call the upper courts, and then 6 courts that we call the lower courts, only because the 4 are higher than the 6. So, page 4 provides a closer look at the layout of our 10 courts, and the following pages show a little bit more detail, highlighting some of the areas where cracks and patching and surface deterioration have occurred. So as you know, public schools across the state are navigating significant financial challenges. Many have sought the assistance of redevelopment commissions for projects that strengthen the connection between schools and communities, and we believe this project does exactly that. Supporting this effort not only benefits our students, it also enhances the community resource that serves residents of all ages. This evening, we're going to share some data that we've collected. We're going to outline the proposed scope of work. We'll discuss some financial considerations and present an overall vision of the project. And we welcome any questions that you have during or after the presentation. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our athletic director, Mr. Mans, who's going to review some of the usage data that we've gathered.
Thank you. Again, I'm Kirk Mans, the high school athletic director. I've served in that position now for over 9 years. The usage data is certainly not an exact science. Talking with our tennis coaches, our tennis people, I think it's a very good indication of where we are numbers-wise, the numbers of the folks who are using the tennis courts, our students, our community members as well. Okay. The courts at Seymour High School have been a gathering place for a long time, way before I got here, understanding that for a place to encourage activity and health and just a place of neighborhood. The courts are one of the few resources that are available to our families at no cost for 24 hours a day. Those courts are available anytime that Seymour High School or Seymour Middle School students are not occupying them for our community. The courts are not solely used again for our athletic programs, but for our family and our community. United States Tennis Association, Indiana High School Athletic Association tournaments in the past have been, it's been the home of the sectional for years and years. This year we will not be hosting because of the shape of our tennis courts, our tournaments. In the fall we did not, and we will not again in the spring. Okay. Some usage statistics, again, not an exact science. It's estimated that 40 to 50 community members a week utilize our tennis courts for pickleball. For recreation, just in our families, coming out and using our courts, anywhere from 100 to 150 people per week. And there's also a group of Saturday morning and Sunday morning. It's called group play, and that's always 20 to 30. Our high school occupies the tennis courts August to October. Our boys do. Our girls do from March to May. We also use those courts for our summer workouts and conditioning, both boys and girls preseason workout conditionings. And then in the past, again, we have hosted Indiana High School Athletic Association tournaments. Average of about 40 high school students on our teams, and we host about 25 to 35 matches between our girls and our boys teams. The middle school average about 40 students between the girls and the boys, and about 10 to 12 matches per year. Again, boys between August and October, and our girls season is between March and May. Seymour High School physical education, we use those courts extensively for tennis, for pickleball, and our adaptive PE courses are out there doing numerous activities on them as well. Some of the events, community events that we do host, in the summertime we host tennis camps for our younger students, average about 120 or so. Tots for teens, tennis age 5 to 18, tennis lessons and play days, average about 60 participants. The United States Tennis Association tournaments that we host, Seymour Smash, average about 30 for under the age of 10. Age of 12 of 18, about 130, and then adult, about an average of 30. Seymour Park and Recs, in the past, run a tennis ladder tournament throughout the summer, which averaged about 40 to 50 participants. Okay. Are there any questions that I can answer about the usage of our tennis court?
has the condition of the courts altered the usage statistics recently?
Not that I'm aware of,
So
no.
they're just playing in spite of the crumbling surface?
Yes. It's not to that point.
Okay.
That's the reason.
Just one clarification, Mr. Dennis, we did not host the tournament because of the condition of the course. So until that improves, it'll be off-site. They mentioned, I think, that they wanted to come back to Seymour, but can't with its current.
I didn't feel that it was a surface that a high school sectional or tournament should be played on right now.
Yep.
But to limit the normal activity of, community, no, it has not.
Some scope of work and history of construction maintenance of that complex. The current tennis court complex was originally constructed in 1996, and it coincided with the addition of the Seymour High School auxiliary gym and commons. That previously there were 10 courts in what's now basically the footprint of the commons and the auxiliary gym. When that was constructed, then they split it up into the 6 and the 4. That project included the 6 lower courts, the 4 upper courts, lighting, fencing, and bleachers. In about 2008, all 10 courts were resurfaced and restriped. Then again in 2017, the 4 upper courts were resurfaced and restriped. In the following year, in 18, the 6 lower courts were resurfaced and striped. And then most recently in 2022, the cracks in the court surfaces were filled and sealed as temporary measure to kind of extend usability. And so you can kind of see the interval is decreasing in the time that it takes between resurfaces. And in fact, in the last resurfacing in 2018, the contractor said that they would no longer resurface that the tennis court because they couldn't warrant the work. And it all has to go with, I heard them talking about soil stability. I know a little bit about soil instability, and that's essentially what is occurring with these. The soil underneath the courts is so unstable that is consistently creating cracks in that asphalt surface. The courts are approaching now about 29 years of age. They're constructed of asphalt, which has reached kind of the end of its functional life. As I mentioned, the contractors identified that the persistent cracking was caused by instability in the subsurface material, and without fully reconstructing that, including the removal of the existing surface and the remediation of that subgrade, the courts will continue to shift, heave, and crack. And ongoing deterioration and unsafe playing conditions will continue. So in collaboration with our architectural partners at VPS, we developed a comprehensive plan to remediate those 10 existing tennis courts. The newly designed prioritizes long-term stability and durability with addressing the underlying issues that have caused the repeated surface failures. Some key elements are the subsurface stabilization through undercutting and soil remediation to correct that existing ground instability, an addition of a concrete buffer curb that will integrate the fence post into it, which will minimize future disruption of the playing surface, and then also a focus on materials and construction techniques that will significantly extend the life of the courts. The estimated total project budget for these improvements is approximately $1.6 million. Our proposed construction timeline is for bid letting to happen in December of 2025, with a construction period working around the seasons for summer of 2026. And again, that allows kind of for the completion of work during the school's off-season, minimizes disruption to both the athletic and community use. The plan for sequencing is so that we would work on these 6 what we call competition courts first, get those corrected, leave the 4 open so that use can occur and practices can occur. When those are done, then we would shift our focus to the 4. Any questions about kind of the scope of work or anything of that nature?
You did answer a couple questions I already had written down, and I was around. My son was playing tennis when they were resurfaced last time. So part of my concern is if we're having to address this every 7 or 8 years, was there a better step? Because that's what I was told as well about the stabilization. So it seems like you're addressing that, because I feel it's better to fix the problem instead of keep throwing money at it every few years. So appreciate that y'all are taking that type of approach to it. I was curious also because drainage has been an issue. Is that addressed in this as well?
It is not particularly in this. We actually addressed drainage in that area in 2019. We did a force main project that started, let me get my directions, southeast of the auditorium, and it continues all throughout that particular area. And then essentially that entire collection area goes to detention pipes that are underneath the current teacher lot, and then exfil into the above ground detention pond that is off of Lasher Drive in between the softball field and the soccer fields. So what used to occur, you're 1,000% right, was just a massive amount of groundwater at all times leading to this soil instability. We believe that we've corrected the water portion, but the soil portion can only be corrected by removing it, addressing it, and then rebuilding it from the base up.
Also just the drainage from the courts themselves everything wasn't
Correct.
laid out correctly to where it would shed the water off of it.
Correct.
And saw where you addressed curbs to help with some of that, but I'm assuming anytime they're going to work with the soil, they're going to work with getting that corrected as
Drain,
well
yep.
on the court drainage.
Pitch properly and drain properly. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. Great questions. Thank you. Any others? Okay. I'll have Mr. Thompson come and talk a little bit about the financial implications.
Good evening. My name is Matt Thompson. I'm the CFO for the schools. As Talmadge mentioned, I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about the financial side of this, some of the impacts for the school, some of the opportunities, things maybe to avoid, and then also on the community side as well. One of the things I want to bring up first is you talk about the mechanics of the funding and the money. So we have a couple different levers that we can pull when we're looking at spending on projects of this magnitude. One side you could look at is from an operations standpoint. So we have an operations fund. Our operations fund right now is currently under $3 million. We also have Senate Bill 1 impact right now that's having more pressure put on the amount of revenue that's coming into that fund over the next 6 years. So really that's not an option for us on a project of this scope to try to use those funds. So the other fund that we use is our debt fund, and we go through bond issuances and proceeds. So we actually just went through one of those this year. We actually just sold a bond, it's a 2025 bond. Those activities and projects are all related and go towards our 10-year site master plan that Talmadge spoke of earlier. So when we look, you talk about the impact on the courts and the conditions. We've had several other bond proceeds that just based on that site master plan and priority, it was not, at the top of the list on the last projects, but now it's in this next project scope. So that's one of the opportunities that we have to use as funding mechanisms. So what this would do, number one, is if we were able to partner with the RDC and potentially get some of this funding, we'd be able to use those funds earmarked for the courts and use them for other operating projects and improvements on the facilities at the schools. One of those includes the high school pool, which is also another facility and an asset that's used by the community as well. From an enrollment standpoint, as Kirk mentioned earlier, we have over 80 students, male and female, that participate. So if you look at worst case, if we did not do anything and let the courts continue to deteriorate, potential students would leave our schools and go somewhere else. You look at the funding that a student bring in, and you look at those numbers, that's about $600,000 to $700,000 a year in student enrollment if those students would go somewhere else to a different school to play. The other thing this does is with a new facility, it could attract student enrollment and bring students coming in from other surrounding areas. So on the other side of that, it's not avoiding enrollment loss, could be an advantage for us on enrollment, which would be huge for our schools right now. And we're also right now, as probably most of you know, we're in declining enrollment. So another pressure, that could help us with the facilities improvement. The other thing is the boosting on the tennis programs with the USTA tournaments and the events, the participation that we have. A lot of those funds go towards the tennis program to fund them each year for their supplies and things like that. So if the facilities and the courts are in better shape, we're going to get a higher level of participation and more funds then for the tennis programs. Talked about the sectional and regional events. As we mentioned, we used to host those events. And I think that, again, if the facilities were in the shape they should be, we would get that back. That also provides additional funds and ticket sales and concessions during these events that would help support the programs and the athletic funds as well. And I talked earlier about the revenue loss. I think it's very critical right now, but this could potentially free up some money with the revenue loss on Senate Bill 1 to where we could use some of those funds for some other projects that are well needed for the operating in the schools. On the community side, we talked about potential students leaving or going to other locations. Could also be the impact of families. But families could maybe potentially move out of town. If they do, you look at the annual, I pulled this, looking at the annual household income tax loss, assuming $3,000 a family, could be around $250,000, just looking at different things. Again, the opportunities could flip where we get more students coming in and more families coming in, which could bring more tax revenue to the community as well. On the tournaments and the events, we talked about the benefit for the tennis program and the athletic funds, but we'll also see a benefit when we have the visitors coming in for these events for the community, local industries, visitors, eating at our restaurants and shopping and doing different things would help support while we're having these events. And again, the more events we have, the more revenue that could bring in for the local area. I talk about potential tax rate increases on our school debt and bond projects. We've been very conscious to that since I've been with the schools, and even well before. You look at the last 20 years, we've only raised our tax rate one time to support these bond projects and so forth. So we're also being a good steward of the community, trying to be conscious of that rate as we're looking at these projects. And then finally, the same thing I mentioned earlier on the schools, but freeing up these improvements also could lead us into being able to have some money available to support the pool, which is definitely a community asset as well. Long-term value, I just wrote this down, but we talked about, the life of the courts. This last time, I think you said it was 96, so well over 20 plus years. We've had to put some Band-Aids, as we know. Talmadge talked about some of the things that are going to change now structurally, where those should last 20 to 25 years. You look at the investment, right? You talk about $1.6 million over 25 years. That's $64,000 a year, and then on a per court basis, $6,400. So if you think about it that way, that's and in the long term, that's a pretty good investment, and it's not a huge dollar amount when you're looking at a per court basis. So those are just some of the things we'd like to highlight just on the financial side, on both the school benefit, and then obviously as the community, what the community can benefit as well. Any questions?
Matt, you mentioned your master plan.
Yes.
Could you elaborate a little bit on that as far as what we're trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
What the schools are trying to accomplish?
Sure. So we, when I first started, we contracted our VPS, our architect, and Skillman, who's general contractor, and they went through, did a deep dive into all of our assets and facilities across the whole district, and then basically went building by building, and then evaluated all the mechanicals, the structures, and basically, kind of ranked it out on how we needed to appropriate and spend our funds over the next several years. So we're using that 10-year site plan as like a roadmap. So basically that's basic when we're going right off that roadmap, and also it's aligned with the school board and our leadership as well. So really there's no surprises. Everybody knows, the order of and the priorities that we've set.
I was looking at the page on the funding request application with the funding, and it just mentions the RDC for the full amount. Do you have other sources that you're working with? I was thinking, you were talking about tourism dollars earlier, so like the visitor center or chamber or getting sponsorships from other companies. Are you working on other things in case for other funding opportunities?
At this moment, we haven't actively worked on any. I know there's some grants that are out there. A lot of the grants, though, they won't fund if it's school related only. A lot of them, they have to have a community aspect with the schools as well. And there's 4 or 5 out there that we've looked at that may be of interest. A lot of them though, dollar wise, they're not that really don't put a big mark on a project like this, maybe $25,000. So obviously, we're kind of prioritizing and making our steps on how we can support the funding, but definitely something to answer your question. We'll look at those funding options as well.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Turn it over to Steve Bush.
Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Bush, Principal of Seymour High School. Just to kind of wrap things up tonight and close out a presentation. When Mr. Prangy was training me to take over for him, he talked to me so much about the importance of community partnerships. So just getting a chance to get in front of you guys tonight is a big deal to us, and we really appreciate the opportunity. If it works out, that'll be wonderful. And if not, we know we got a good community partner in everyone here. So thank you so much. I was observing in a math classroom the other day, and there's this big red sign in neon lights that says, "Just ask." And I kind of made a note to myself, sometimes when we need help and we just need a little bit of extra reassurance that that's something you got to go ask. And so here we are today, asking you guys for a little bit of help, a little bit of assistance to continue that community partnership. School doors, unfortunately, when I started teaching in 2003, were so community-based where moms and dads and grandpas and grandmas could come in and take their third grader right out of my classroom at the end of the day. And they'd take their hand and they'd walk out the door. We've had to close doors a little bit because of school safety and the world has changed. These tennis courts are kind of that last connection to the community. You go out there during the daytime when kids are in school, there will be people out there playing tennis. Parents coming by, having a picnic, playing with little kids. They're used all day long. When the weather's nice, come on by, check them out. But we hope to get them back to their full glory, and we're looking for some help along the way. And so I just wanted to say thanks for having us today. We can answer any questions as a group, or I can answer any questions for you guys. I know we've taken up a lot of your time, so thank you so much.
So our practice has been to hear these requests and then table it for at least a month to then do our own due diligence between meetings and figure out, what our options are. If this isn't funded in any way by RDC, what's plan B?
We'll fund that through our debt fund and through the 2025 bond that we just closed on.
So I think, kind of following up, sort of goes to what Mr. Kelly was referencing. So the facility master plan, the needs to rehab and renovate the major assets. And when I say major assets, I'm talking roads, HVAC systems, windows that leak, things that can prevent you from, fire systems, things that can prevent you from having a day of school. The needs far exceed our capabilities. So over the course of several work sessions, we outlined what those were. And effectively, we've created a roadmap like Mr. Thompson mentioned. And there's a whole section that was in red, and we had to draw a line somewhere. And we talked about at that time that there might be something that is below this line that bubbles to the top because it's emergent. Well, that's what's happened with the tennis court. So I will move a chiller replacement project at the high school also down. I will move some of the pool work that we were planning to do with this bond down, and I will move this up, and we will do it. So it's deferred maintenance, essentially, is what will happen, is we will defer the maintenance of those assets to maintain this particular asset.
Okay. Any other questions for the group?
With the bid letting in December, what type of time frame are you looking at that the bids come back in and you're gonna need funds to start these projects to be able to do it next year?
Yeah, so we have the capacity to be able to move some dollars around to be able to start the projects and get them underway. And again, if we're able to utilize RDC funds for that, then essentially the RDC funds would repay what we have put out. And if the RDC is not capable of doing that and partnering with us, then we would just go ahead and shoulder that bill ourselves.
As kind of expressed through a couple questions and comments, I feel like it would be important to try to reach out to some other partners, because with our budget, I'm not sure that we could look at doing the whole thing. Especially, there's a lot of corporations here in town that's been very generous to partner with people, and especially when they're coming together and they're not asked for the whole thing. So I think there may be some benefits to do that. The other thing I would encourage is, the airport just explained about their situation, and this specifically being a soil stabilization thing, is I would, whatever those bids come in at, be looking at some contingency dollars for additional issues they may find once they get in the middle of it, and not just be looking at funds to the limit, because I know that with our budget, I don't think we'd be in a position to look at coming back to fund those additional costs.
Yep, and that's probably gonna be our main consideration as we hear from Reedy and see what 2026 looks like. Still some unknowns that we need to address, but like I said, appreciate you guys bringing this forward, letting us know what the issues are, and we'll take it into consideration.
Thank you so much. You guys are all welcome anytime. Stop by, I can take you out and show you around.
Yeah, Brandon said we could come at 3 a.m. and see how the lights are just, you can just turn them on and play. I'm sure it'll be well received by the neighbors. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Poll.
Yeah, it's good to see y'all again. I was going to knock out your guys' spending plan along with your regular financial update. Would you guys prefer one first over the other?
No, let's do the spending update.
Spending plan.
Spending plan, sorry.
Okay, yep. As far as your guys' 2026 spending plan goes, nothing has changed since last year. We've gotten no more updates or anything like that as far as what they want this to be or look like, so we kept it the same as last year. We included a letter and a memo from the DLGF in here. The letter will go to City Council, and this will all get provided to them. It'll have your Exhibit A, which this is linked to your 2026 projections on your financial plan. Each of the categories that's required to be submitted onto Gateway is on here. We've given each of them a 15% buffer just for overages and things that may happen. And as it states in here as well, if as we're tracking this, we see some of these will go over, we'll just submit an amended spending plan online and get that taken care of if needed. But your resolution is on the very last couple of pages here to approve this, and that's it for the spending plan.
So that actually is gonna need a motion here
Yes,
to approve the plan.
yes, and that'll be resolution 5 for this year.
Okay. I think we can go ahead and take care of that now. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at the resolution? Any questions or discussion? Would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Second.
And we got a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
And like I said, we'll get that submitted and we'll get it provided to council, and that'll be it.
Okay.
And for your guys' financial update this time, if you guys have the full one in front of you, I want to take you to your main fund page on page 8, and we can go ahead and look at 2026 projections here. Your claims this round had your last CCMG payment in there, and so that is finalized for 2025. And as we had planned, we'd planned for the RDC not to spend anything on CCMG in 2026, so you'll see that reflected on here. The Burkhart project, little amounts have been taken out as well. That's done, and the only thing that's going to change on here, based on what Chad was able to track down for me, is your Eastside Industrial project. There's been a change order for some drainage work between phases 1 and 2, and I think we were projecting you had about $1.1 million, close to that, left to spend on that project, and it's looking like it's going to be more like 1.3 for that Eastside Industrial project. I will make sure that this gets updated on your contracts page and on your fund page as well. Chad's gonna go track how much of that will be this year, how much of it will be next year, and then I'll get that updated accordingly on each of those pages for you.
So you're talking about the line under capital outlays, 2025, $1,059,000, 2026, $1,030,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
That project.
So those originally expected to be in two pieces like this, but when the bids were let, was it bid as one project? And does that present any problems? Chad?
I've not been part of that process. I know Bernie could answer that a lot better than I can. I kind of come into this one kind of midway, but I am trying to track it as best I can as far as.
Because you're still showing it as a 2026 outlay, but the bids were let, though I understand it, to all be 2025.
And the way.
I can add to it. So the bids, it was bid as one project in two phases. Your guys' outlay, you committed to a 2025 and a 2026 piece of.
Correct, okay.
So
we're still okay with that in spite of the way it was bid?
Yeah, it was
Perfect.
just bid as one project with a A and a B phase.
And so you're saying that's gonna be 200,000 higher than we originally had anticipated? Are we expected to make that up, or are those funds gonna come from somewhere else?
Well, that's for this year though, right? Because we only have change for $75,000. So it should be $75,000 more overall because of the change order
For this year.
for this year.
Okay.
Depending on how it plays out.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal because right now we've got
Right.
$2,089,000, $2,090,000, and I thought I just heard you say it could be 200,000 higher than that.
Based on the latest numbers he's able to track down.
My point is, who foots that bill? Is it expected to be RDC?
We're gonna try to level it out, so.
Because as you can see, the projected 2026 ending balance is 562. So, I mean, that brings us to, I think, dangerously low levels.
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, and why was why was it higher?
Phase 1, phase 2, right? Some of the drainage that was in phase 2 affected phase 1, so they had to do that drainage. If not, they couldn't do the work they were doing for phase 1.
Does that just shift stuff from phase 2 to phase 1, or did that?
Well, that's just it. I mean, I'm hoping that this stays to where.
So it may not be an incremental cost, just timing.
Right. Yeah.
When the funds are needed.
Right. That's what I'm going for here.
Yeah, I think we need an answer to that at the next meeting, so we know for sure.
Problem.
Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions about the report or Cole?
The only other thing I wanted to mention was the tech park usually gets its distribution around this time, and it hasn't come in yet, so Jim and I are working on ensuring that gets soon as well.
Refresh my memory, is that allocated? Are those funds allocated, or do they stay in that fund?
Ideally, they would stay in that fund, and then everything that's used in there can stay in there. Those funds do have to be used inside of the tech park specifically. I know sometimes we've had.
Page 14's
got.
Sometimes we've had the TIF fund pay for it, and then it get reimbursed depending on when the money comes in for tech park, but yes, it's all in there.
Okay.
I included it in the spending plan as well, just in case the TIF fund does have to end up paying for the project that's in there, so.
But the Education Coalition comes from the tech park, and then
250 or 275, yeah.
Vincennes Ready was from there too, so.
Okay.
I will keep you updated as Chad finds out more about that industrial project.
Okay. Thank you, Cole.
Thank you.
All right. So that's the financial report. we're ready for claims. I said, everybody had a chance to take a look at the claims. Any questions or would entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Bonnie.
A second.
Thank you, Tim. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Both same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Bonnie, you're up.
Okay. So for the quality of life grants, we'd kind of waited to do anything with them because there's some uncertainty about the money that we have. We are really late in the year to do our required notices in the newspapers to let people know that we were doing it. So, and then since we're still concerned about our numbers for next year too, the Quality of Life Grant Committee had talked about pushing it back until 2026. And I wondered if we wanted to just plan for doing it in June 2026 to make sure that we have, that we've gotten everything figured out on our figures. Bless you. And to give us time to, to get out the proper notification period and everything.
Okay, that's a recommendation from the committee. Any other comments or questions about that?
I mean, is it something, I mean, that's part of our budget. Is that something where we would want to just put it on hold indefinitely to free up those dollars so that?
So the remaining budget for 25 is 51,930. So in my mind, it frees up 51,930.
Well, yeah, right. And, but that's also projected 25 was.
Right.
I mean, we've not spent any of that, right? Have we given any quality of life grants this year?
No, we didn't do it this year.
Okay, so the 117 is a projected.
That was a projected.
Okay, so it frees up 169, thank you.
And part of the thinking was with the increased amount that we gave to Main Street, we kind of considered it under the quality of life as just in viewing it, and with the budget conditions that maybe we could, like I said, wait a while to see how that plays out.
I mean, I guess when we came up with that dollar figure, our projected end of year cash flows were considerably higher than they are today. Is that something?
It's a percentage of prior year ending balance, right?
Correct. Yes, 3%.
Ending balance or
current year, right? Or
Yes.
the prior year?
It's you see the orange line there at the bottom
Yeah.
of your plan? That explains it completely right there. It's
Yeah,
3% of the year-end fund balance.
The previous year end fund balance or current?
I would think it'd be previous year because you don't know what your balance is
Don't
gonna be at the end of
balance
this year.
Well, 3% of 3,000,009 would be not that.
So you're
Well, I think the point of the 3% being current was more, allocating current year revenues to this initiative of quality of life grants rather than a prior year's revenue. Does that make sense? Because what if next year our revenues tank or allocation expansion area falls off, and then now we're doing 3% of prior year? So that's why it was current year. That makes sense.
Okay.
well, but the 117,472 is exactly 3% of 3.915 million. So it was that 3% was based off the 2024 year-end balance.
Okay, so then you got your calculator out. The 51,930 is 3% of.
That's as of. So we're talking 1,458. Is that the one you want us? Because the projected year-end balance.
Sorry. Okay.
1.458 million.
Yeah.
That's 40. Just a touch under 44,000. But again,
what I'm hearing is the committee has met and decided that we aren't necessarily in a position to do something for, quality of life grants for 2025. So you're wanting to table it to 2026.
Yes.
So if Reedy could update the plan next month, if we approve the recommendation from the subcommittee. So are you giving that as a motion then?
I am.
Okay.
I guess my question is anything going to change when we're sitting here in June of 26, where we're gonna go, man, that budget's tight, are we going to, I know it'll be a lower amount, but like, we still may be like, oof, we're so close, do we wanna spend?
Right, and I think the precedent we're setting is we're gonna do quality of life grants as funds are available.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
And I think that's financially responsible.
Agree.
Should we just amend the motion to not put a date in there when we will resume it, but to just do away with it this year and keep those funds in the budget and reestablish it as we?
Bonnie, you made the motion. Are you okay with that friendly amendment?
I am.
Okay. Yes. Now, any discussion or a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just so I'm clear for the minutes, so Bonnie, your motion was amended to eliminate the quality of life grants indefinitely to be considered down the road. Is that accurate?
Is that how you want to phrase it?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Got it?
thank you.
And we do think that they're valuable and important. It's just we want to make sure our house is in order first.
Right. We've accomplished a lot in a rising cost environment, so.
Right.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, full agenda. Nothing else on the agenda. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the cause?
I do. You guys try to skip me and get away. It was a slash. I'll let it slide, Mark. But we are here. I'm here today. You guys should have the presentation in front of you to satisfy your final reporting requirement of the year, the TIF impact presentation. And well, I can talk about that afterwards.
Oh, it doesn't look like it's on the agenda, but it's in the packet.
It is not on the agenda, but it is here.
It is on the agenda as a slash after the spending plan, but it's hidden there. I tried to confuse you apparently.
Under I.
Okay, knock yourself out.
Cheer us up.
I do see the slash now.
I have a few things, okay? We'll talk about this, and I got one more point I may make afterwards. We can talk about the plan for a second. So I'll just walk through the presentation. You guys have seen this presentation before, but I can answer any questions as they come up. But essentially, if you flip to page 2, you'll see, and if I would have known that Cole was going to go first, I would have bolded the December 1st spending plan, my apologies, and added the green check to signify that this is the final reporting requirement for 2025. Flipping to the inside the RDC tab, slide 3, you'll see a breakdown of all our allocation areas, the 4 separate main allocation areas, their creation years and their expiration years with their corresponding assessed value for pay year 2025. And then a total at the bottom there, adding all of those up. The next slide, you guys have seen this graph before, just a graphical representation of how TIF works and kind of how we capture that assessed value that TIF revenues are derived from. When we establish a TIF, base continues to go to those overlapping units. Any increment on top of that is what you guys capture in the form of assessed value that then generates your TIF revenue based on taxing district rate. As you know, all TIFs have an expiration. Once you reach that expiration, that assessed value will then go to the base, leading to other fund challenges. Next slide, financial position. Same allocation areas, just broken down to show you beginning year fund balance, current year revenues, current year expenditures that are projected through the end of the year. Same with revenues. We've only gotten our June settlement. The December settlement will hopefully bring those revenues up to those numbers, and then your end of year cash balance based on those projections.
Next slide, just a breakdown, current projects, future plans, future projects that are in the works. So you guys have seen these on your TIF financial plan as far as different categories of projects that we're working on, future ones. I believe Cole mentioned kind of the concept of removing residential parcels to you guys, in a prior meeting potentially. Nate, yes? Confused? Do you want me to elaborate?
Yes,
Good.
elaborate, please.
Elaborate. So essentially, there's been a shift in how Lau's software works for this year. We could get into the weeds very deeply on this topic, but essentially, you have the Bushman allocation area, and that Bushman allocation area originally established apartment complex right there. That vacant lot behind that is now turned into a subdivision. So that parcel was initially in the Bushman allocation area. It has been subdivided into 1% properties. The way TIF neutralization works, a factor is applied to all the parcels in an allocation area, which would then ultimately lead to increment being captured on those 1% properties. The software system does not allow that because it knows that you're not allowed to capture increment on 1% properties. So in prior years, the software has corrected itself by lowering the base to ensure that the TIF still got the amount that it was supposed to get. However, this new year, they've essentially stopped doing that, which would essentially make it so that all that increment based on a factor applied to those 1% properties would be lost. Luckily, we noticed this. We saw a quick fix for this year, but essentially the long-term fix is we need to go in next year, just do our 4-step process to remove all of those 1% properties from that allocation area so that this does not continue to be an issue each year. It's a complex topic. We spent hours nerding down the path, so we have a path to move forward. It's fixed for this year, but we'll make sure to get it really fixed next year. So the next slide, I won't read through all the language, but essentially, as you guys know, for the TIF impact, concept, we have to enter into a hypothetical world that assumes that hey, what would happen if either A, our TIFs were abolished tomorrow and all that assessed value were dumped into the base assessed value? What would happen to collections rates, so on and so forth, and kind of assume that all of the development would have already occurred that has occurred with the use of TIF. Would that actually, happen? Highly unlikely. As you know, we've done a lot of different projects to incentivize communities to come to town. So would all of that have occurred without the use of TIF? That's a different argument to be made. But essentially, like I said, what we're doing in this concept is saying, all right, all of that assessed value that I showed you in a prior slide, what would happen tomorrow if we let it all go to the base? And just the way property taxes in the state of Indiana work, really your main impact is going to be on rate-driven funds. Other than that, units can't just levy however much they want. We're a levy-based state, and that means that they can grow their levy by a set percentage every year. So you dump a bunch of AV into a bucket, you're not increasing your levy, all you're doing is reducing your rate. So as far as from a revenue standpoint, all that you're doing is you would be reducing circuit breaker if we dump $240 million in assessed value into the base. We'd be reducing circuit breaker. And then any units that had rate-driven funds, they would experience additional revenue based on how much that assessed value went up because those rates are set. So in the county, you have 2 units that have those rate-driven funds, Seymour Civil City and Jackson County. That'd be their CCD rates. So on the next slide, if you're not already there, just a breakdown of the dollar impact, the circuit breaker impact, and the rate-driven fund impact for each of those units. And I won't read through every single number, but just to kind of, once again, refresh your mind on how this chart works, I kind of just laid out how the circuit breaker and rate-driven impact is derived. From there, we put together a total, what's the total percent of that impact? And then really, I think it's important to show what that unit's budget is because to me, $802,000 to the Seymour Civil City as far as the circuit breaker impact seems quite impactful. I'd love that in my bank account. But when you compare it to their budget of $24 million, their total impact for the city is 3.84%. So like I said, just always a good idea to keep in mind what the budget is and what is that percent of the budget. At the end of the day, what this comes down to is you'll see that total circuit breaker impact from all overlapping units of $1,391,658 on the circuit breaker side of things, and then $198,631 on the rate driven side, bringing us to a total of $1,590,289. Alternatively, because that assessed value is within an allocation area, we're able to collect this year's projected TIF revenues of $6,979,553. So essentially, because of the use of TIF, because that AV is within a TIF district, that allows you to capture more revenue that doesn't factor in a levy constraint, you're getting $5,389,265 more dollars than you would if that AV were to be in the base assessed value. TIF margin, we don't talk about that a lot anymore, but we put that calculation there as well. Essentially, that's just saying that 77 cents, every dollar that the RDC collects, 77 cents of it would not have existed had that AV not been in the TIF allocation area. And I essentially just talked through that, second to last slide. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Matt.
So the other thing I just wanted to mention, and I more massaging on this needs to occur.
Should we add another slash to the agenda?
No. And really, it's just, I know just from talking with Cole, I know I haven't been able to be here the past couple months, work, baby, CPA, all that good stuff. But, he's relayed to me that obviously, and I got it here as well, the kind of our worry about our cash balance. I know we've got a lot of expenses going out in the next couple of years. And really, I think one thing that we could potentially look at, like I said, more massaging needs to occur. We need to kind of analyze it. But that really, the main one that sticks out as far as what is our big project on the horizon is that O'Brien Street. And I just kind of churning here while I was sitting in the meeting, is there potentials for us to look at, identifying a specific phase and look at potentially issuing a TIF bond to take on that project, fund it up front to alleviate some of our cash concerns. And rather than spending out, $5 million over the next 2 years, we have a X dollar bond payment over the next 10 years. So not saying that I'm recommending that. I think, like I said, it's something that I would like to potentially look into if you guys think that could be beneficial. But in order to avoid, running into these issues where we can't do X, Y, Z project because now our cash balance is in a position where we're not comfortable with it, that's something that we could look at. That's all I'm going to say.
It's an arrow in the quiver.
Exactly. Arrow in the quiver. Like I said, not recommending it. I'd like to analyze it, take a look at numbers and see how it, if it makes sense, see what the interest implications would be and so on and so forth. But something to consider if you guys would like to. So.
How, is that something you could have an analysis by next month just to
Absolutely.
see that? I mean, even if they were
absolutely
ballpark figures, I mean, obviously it doesn't need to be.
Absolutely I could. I think really the biggest hurdle, and this is kind of why I was talking to Mayor and Chad, is going to be with bonding, doing municipal bonds. We need the project that we're issuing a bond for has a lot of implications on our ability to do X, Y, and Z, right? So with O'Brien Street being started, we need to make sure we're clear on, hey, this bond is paying for this project. We can't just go out and say, hey, we're going to issue a bond for, cash for whatever projects we want, right? We maybe can, but that's probably not the best route to take. So I think, like I said, if we could figure out a way to identify, all right, this specific portion of this O'Brien Street project that's coming up, can we issue a bond for that? If we can kind of work through that legal engineering, kind of breaking it out, as far as the numbers, I could put that together absolutely by next meeting. So, like I said, let me do some homework, let me do some massaging, and you'll see me next month.
I like it.
Okay?
Okay, thank you. Now, is there anything else? More slashes? Okay. Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
A second.
Motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.